Welcome, grade 10. Today's lesson, we will focus on the subtopics for the topic banking, and we'll be looking at the check clearing process and the bank statement. This lesson is going to be rather short, so please pay attention and take as much notes as possible. So let's get right into it. As you would have learned in previous lessons, a check is written instructions to the bank giving them permission to take money out of one account and to place it in another person's account or to pay a bill. You would have also learned that in order for you to be able to write a check, you need what is called a checking account or a current account. Now, as you know, a check is a form of payment, but it is not a legal tender. It is a non legal tender. That means a business has the option of choosing whether or not they want to accept a check from a customer. Some reasons why businesses may not accept a check would be because the check is stale or because they want their monies instantly. A check does not provide disadvantage to businesses because it must go through a check clearing process. In banking and finance, clearing denotes all activities from a time a commitment is made for a transaction until it is settled. This process turns the promise of payment into the actual movement of money from one account to another. So, yes, a check is a method of payment, but it is not money until it goes through a check clearing process. To teach this lesson, I'm going to paint a scenario. You are going to be a customer whose name is Lynette Flowers. So, Lynette Flowers is the owner of a checking account at Scotiabank in Palmdale. Lynette Flowers wants to pay her medical bill through check. So she writes a check to Life Medical Center for $450. Life Medical Center collects that check from Lynette, or she pays them, and Life Medical Center will then take the check to their bank of choice, not to Lynette's bank, to their bank of choice, which is Royal Bank on Mackey Street. Royal Bank on Mackey Street will then send the Scotiabank check to their headquarters or main branch on Bay Street because Royal Bank of Canada cannot cash a Scotiabank check. Scotiabank must cash a Scotiabank check. So Royal Bank on Canada, Market Street, sends the Scotiabank check to their headquarters or main branch on Bay Street. Okay? So the next step is a representative from the Royal Bank headquarters takes the check to the central bank clearing center on a designated check clearing date. So remember, I would have taught you before that the central bank is the bank of all other banks. All other banks must do their banking through the central bank. So that's where the check is taken to be approved and to get clearance. After which, the representative from Royal Bank headquarters returns to Royal Bank headquarters with cash. And the Scotiabank representative, who now has the check, returns to the Scotiabank main branch. Scotiabank main branch then sends the check to Scotiabank in Palmdale, where Lynette account is. And then once Scotiabank in Palmdale, where Lynette account is, because Lynette was the one who wrote the check. Once Scotiabank in Palmdale receives that check, then the money is deducted from Lynette's account. Once that money is deducted from Lynette's account, the money is then made available on the person's account who Lynette wrote the check for. In this case, Lynette wrote the check for Life Medical Center. So once the money is deducted from the Lynette's account, then it becomes available to Life Medical Center account. After which, the check is stamped, cleared, and it stays with the bank or canceled and mailed back to Lynette. If it is canceled, it is mailed back. If it is cleared, it is not mailed back. And that is the check clearing process. So now let's go through another example to show the check clearing process. So here I pulled this Biggie Sassy question, and it has a little diagram that we're going to fill out with letters representing the check clearing process. So let's get the pen. So the first thing you're going to identify, but let's read through them. A, Bank of the Bahamas on Howell Road sends the Commonwealth Bank check to the check clearing center at the Central Bank of the Bahamas. B, Bank of the Bahamas adds $200 to Acadia's preschool account. C, Commonwealth Bank deducts $200 from Susie's account. D, Susie Small writes a check to Acadia's preschool for $200 drawn on her checking account at Commonwealth Bank on Thompson Boulevard. So we already know Susie Small is the drawer. That's the person who's writing the check. The payee is Acadia's. The check is valued $200. We know Susie Small account is at Commonwealth Bank on Thompson Boulevard. So we know that so far. Oops, I made a mistake. Let's erase that last. Okay, let's get the pen and let's continue to read. So here it says Susie Small is the drawer, so we know that. That's E. F, the check is stamped, cleared, or canceled and mailed back to Susie. G, Commonwealth Bank picks up the check from the clearinghouse at Central Bank of the Bahamas. And H, Acadia's preschool, which is the payee, as I would have noted earlier, deposits the check on their bank account at Bank of the Bahamas. So we're going to fill out this diagram. So what's obviously the first thing here? Automatically, the first thing is we're going to identify the check, who the checking account belongs to. So that's E. Now we need to do what? We need to write this check. So D is where we go next. We're going to write the check. Now, after we write the check, what do we do with the check? We take it to Acadia's preschool. And then what does Acadia's preschool do? They're going to deposit the check onto their bank account because you can't keep the check in your cash register forever. You need to deposit it on your bank account. So Acadia will deposit the check on their bank account at Bank of the Bahamas. So the check is a Commonwealth Bank account check, but it is being deposited on a Bank of the Bahamas a check. So obviously it needs to go through a check clearing process. And instead of just 2 to 3 days, this may actually take 7 working days because we're working with a different bank altogether. And all of these are commercial banks, okay? So once we have deposited the check onto our account, we give it to the teller at at Bank of the Bahamas. Now the teller at Bank of the Bahamas needs to send that Commonwealth Bank check to the central bank in order for it to be cleared. So our next step is A. Okay? Now the central bank, what's going to happen next now that the central bank has the check? The central bank is going to clear the check and Commonwealth Bank will then pick up the check from the central bank, which is G. Pick up the check from the check clearing center on the central bank. Once Commonwealth Bank picks up the check, which means they received it, then Commonwealth Bank will deduct the money from Susie's account, which is C. Sorry, not C. Is it C? Yes, C. Okay. Now that Commonwealth Bank deducted the money from Susie's account, Bank of the Bahamas will then add the money to Acadia's preschool, which was the payee. And last, the check will either be cleared or, well, the check is cleared because Bank of the Bahamas added the check. But if the check was not cleared, then the check would have been canceled, which is F. So I'm going to give you a minute just to take that in. This is the check clearing process for this transaction. And that brings us to the end of this short lesson. I will now send you an activity that will quiz your understanding of the check clearing process. Okay? But actually, you know what? Let me now show you how to calculate, how to work the bank statement, seeing that we're only 11 minutes into this lesson. So we're going to move on to calculating the bank statement. And then I will give you an activity. So here we have a bank statement. Let's understand what a bank statement is. At regular intervals or on request, the bank statement will, will send to a customer a bank statement, which provides a record of all transactions that have taken place between the customer's account and the bank. So this is just a proof of all of your transactions. When you withdraw something, whether you deposit something, when they charge you a banking fee, it's all of the transactions on this bank statement. Amounts which reduce the bank statements are shown in the payments column, and amounts which increase the bank statement are shown in the receipts column. So now let's see what a bank statement looks like. So now let's see what a bank statement looks like. So this is a bank statement, and as you can see, it has a date column with all of the transaction. It has the reference column giving you detail of the transaction. It has the payments column, and the payment column can also be called the debit column. It has a receipt column that can also be called the credit column, and then it has a balance column. And this balance can be a credit balance or a debit balance. So on 1st of March 2005, we have the brought forward balance, which is $25,000. And then on the 2nd of March 2005, we have a check, a reference for a check number 14, Home Fabrics. Now, the reference doesn't state whether or not we are receiving or sending the check, but you can look in the column which it falls under to understand whether it is a payment or a receipt. So it is a payment of $80.30. So that amount needs to be, because it is a payment, that amount needs to be subtracted from the last balance. So that was $80.30, and that is to be taken away from your last balance. Okay, so let me get the calculator and see how much our balance should be. $80.30. Our balance should be 24,919.47. So that should be our balance. Okay, $24,919.45. Now we have the 13th of March, 2005. We have a check from, now this one tells the check is coming from Ginger Smith. So the check is coming from Ginger Smith. That's money coming into us, and it's also on the receipt side of this account. So that amount is going to be added to our balance. So 650 plus 70, 650.70 will be added to 24919.47. And that's going to give us 25,000 570 and 17 cents. So $25,000, $570.17. And then we have a payment to Laura Wong, a check written out to Laura Wong for $195. And that amount should be added to our last balance. So that amount should be added to this. And then we have three sets of deposits that should be added to the balance we get on December 16th. So this is how you complete your bank statement. So now I'm going to show you the answers to complete the bank statement on the next slide. So I've completed it for you. This is your answer. These are your answers. All right. So as you can see, the balances were brought down all the way to the end. And now I'm going to show you another scenario, another problem, or another way this problem can be presented to you. They gave you a bank statement. What if they gave you a bank statement that has a missing figure? So as you can see, it says there 15th of April 2005. Standing order payment to family guardian. That amount is missing. So if we had to calculate that amount, it's a payment, okay? That means money left our account. So what we would do is we can simply look at the difference between our balance on October 10th and balance on October 15th. And obviously, if it was a payment, if you can see the amount here is decreasing. So if you take away our October 10 balance, which is 35170.17, from our October 15 balance, which is 350.17, that's going to give you an amount of $820, sorry. Okay? And that's how you would find the missing figure for your bank statement here. Okay? And that is the end of the lesson. Your activities will follow very shortly. So please watch this video again if you have to understand all concepts taught. Have a good day.